Have you ever dreamed of becoming an airline pilot? The thrill of soaring high above the clouds, flying around the world? Well, in this Flight Director production, I'm going to break down exactly how you can become a pilot in 2025. The first step in your journey is deciding which training route is best for you. There are three main pathways you can take: integrated, modular, and MPL. So let's break down each one of these. Integrated training is a full-time structured program designed to take students from zero experience to a frozen airline transport pilot license, ATPL. It's ideal for those who want a fast-tracked and structured approach. Some of the pros of going on an integrated course are that most of the flight schools that offer the integrated program are recognised by airlines. There's high quality training with the high quality instructors, and everything's all done under one flight school, which is also very beneficial to you because you don't have to move around, and all the instructors are going to be trained by the same company. However, some cons of the integrated pathway is that it can be a lot more expensive, in some cases £60,000 more expensive. It requires a full-time commitment, so if you need to earn the money to get there by working alongside the training, this probably isn't the path for you. And there's also potential delays with integrated flight schools taking on a lot of students, meaning that even though it's advertised as an 18-month course, it could be taking up to 3 years. Modular training allows you to complete your training in stages at your own pace. This is the most flexible and cost-effective option for you. Some pros of modular training is that you control your training. No one else does. It's more affordable, so there's lower financial risk as well, as you're probably not going to be paying all up front for it like you would be on an integrated program. And you can also work alongside flight training, meaning that if you don't have all the money up front, you can pay for it as you go, which some flight schools offer. Some cons of modular training though is that it possibly can take longer, especially if you're paying as you go. And not all airlines actually accept modular graduates. Or if they do, a lot of them only accept modular students if they graduate from the same flight school. So from lesson 1 all the way up to the end, they've been with that school for all their advanced flight training. And it also requires more self-discipline. Because you haven't got someone booking your exams for you and you haven't got the structured training program, it's down to you to make it. So it requires you to have a lot more motivation on this course. The MPL is a relatively new program tailored specifically for airline operations. You train directly for a specific airline and start as a co-pilot. Some pros of this is that you get a guaranteed airline job at the end of it. Airline specific training, which means you'll be familiar with airline SOPs from the very beginning, and is often financially supported by airlines. For example, the TUI MPL, which is fully bonded for yourself if you get onto it. However, some cons of it: there's limited flexibility. You don't have the options of obtaining a PPL unless you do extra training, and the training is tailored to one airline specifically, so some skills may not be transferable into other airlines, especially if they've got different SOPs. And another problem is that these courses are in real high demand, and especially the free ones. So for example, the British Airways Speedbird Academy, even though it's not a MPL program, approximately 30,000 people apply to it. So the competition is really high on these, and you need to put in the effort to get onto them. Now that you know which path suits you best, the next steps is choosing the right flight school for you. Not all flight schools are the same, so you need to have a look at the pros and cons of both. So I always recommend doing in-depth research into the different schools you're thinking about. And if you have chosen to go integrated, don't bin off modular straight away, have a look at all the options you've got. Attend open days. This is going to be your best chance to see the flight school in action and see their best. And some flight schools allow you to sit in on their class. So if you want to go and see what their ground school is like, just phone them up and see if you can go and sit in on a ground school class. I'd also recommend taking a trial flight as well. This gets you to see the instructors, the aircraft, and actually if you actually want to be a pilot. So it's a really good opportunity if you can get a trial flight. And don't just go with the first school you find. A lot of flight schools will do very good advertising, but down below the surface it may not be what it seems. So that's why it's really important to do your research. Now, the flight training process. So how exactly do you go from zero experience to sitting in the cockpit of an A320? Well, let's break this down step by step. Now, you don't necessarily need a Class 1 medical to start your pilot progression, but I would always recommend getting your Class 1 medical first, because you don't want to get to the end of training just as you're about to get your CPL to then find out you're not able to obtain a Class 1 medical. So before you put any money into anything, obtain a Class 1 medical. Your next step, if you go modular, is to obtain your private pilot's license, and then maybe do your night rating and hour building as well. If you're integrated, you would normally first be completing your ATPL ground school, which is 13 exams, all requiring a 75% average. Modular students may be able to do their PPL and night rating and hour building after they've done their ground school. It really depends on the flight school you're going to. Then, on an integrated course, you'll be going into your foundation flight training. So this will be taking from 0 hours up to CPL. So this will probably include single engine VFR flying, and some flight schools may do multi-engine VFR flying as well. After you've passed your commercial pilot's license exam, you'll go on to the advanced flight training, which is where you perform your multi-engine instrument rating and your upset prevention and recovery training. Once you've completed your advanced flight training, you then complete your APS MCC, which is basically you flying with a multi-crew for the first time. Now, it's not required for some airlines, but most airlines these days require this. Then, after you've done all that, you should have your frozen ATPL, which is now time to apply for airlines and type ratings, which means you're now an airline pilot. Now, for the official course timeline, it varies between flight schools, so I'd really recommend having a look into different flight schools to see what suits you best and what their process is, and also the requirements as well. So, next steps. Get yourself down to your local flight school and get a trial flight to see if you can catch the flying bug. And if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments, and also let me know what is your favourite airline to fly for. Thank you guys, see you next time.